Okay, let's get back to Joe. I could probably should give you an introduction. You've been a physics teacher at Morris Hills Regional High School, right, for the last 4 years. And for the last 3, you've also been teaching a aviation and aerospace program that's, I guess, sponsored by the Aircraft Owners and Pilots Association, AOPA. And we are very pleased to have you as our Teacher of the Year because and understand that you won scholarships to become a pilot from the AOPA, as well as a certified flight instructor as well, which is fantastic. I don't think we have ever had a Teacher of the Year with the qualifications and the things that you're undertaking with students, in New Jersey. So you are rather unique teacher. We will, get your award package to you. We look forward to meeting you in person and then presenting that, as well as I hope our president will be able to present the award to you at a school function, because you certainly deserve all that. So with that, you're welcome to give us a talk about your activity and superposition and teaching on aviation and aerospace.
Sure. All right, so I can give you guys a little overview. So AOPA started the program initially to push people in general or students into aviation, for pilots specifically, for the need for the pilots in the commercial airlines. So they started with high school, and actually they're starting to move to middle school to promote students into the idea of being pilots, not just pilots, but now even maybe air traffic control or mechanics or what have you. So that was the initial need. So our school jumped on board for it. We're 2 schools. So I work at Morris Hills. Morris Knolls is our sister affiliate. That's technically in Denville. It's about 2.5 miles away from where we're at, if you're familiar with the Rockaway, Denville area. So we started the program initially at one school as like a test, and then moved it over to the other school. And now it's a 4-year program where the students work their way up. And at the end of the year, they can choose to get, if they would like to, they can choose to take their private pilot written or their drone Part 107 exam. And then the same time, they can apply for the scholarships, the same scholarships that I won. There's just teacher scholarships, and then there's student-based scholarships that AOPA provides for the students to become, a pilot. So how did I get involved, right? So my boss came to me and was like, we're starting this new program, and I was like, I'm all on board. We started the program in September. In October, I took an intro flight over at American Flyers at Morristown. You guys talk about foreign parks, so we're right next to there. And from there, I was hooked, and I started taking light lessons late October, I think maybe early November of 2018 at Blairstown at Orlandi Flight School. So I started doing that on my own. I got up to about like 22 hours before the AOPA decided that they were going to allow some scholarships. I applied for the first scholarship and I won, gratefully. That allowed me to get to, again, the 50-hour range. And then I applied for a second one and won the second one, which was amazing. That would allow me to continue finishing my private. I'm almost done. I'm doing cross-country prep and then check ride prep. So after that, I can use the hours towards, an IFR certificate or commercial license, whatever. So what we do in the classroom, so we have 125 kids enrolled in our program. We have 7 flight simulators in the classroom. One of them is an FAA certified flight simulator that the kids can get actual hours on. So the goal would be for me to become a CFI or to hire a CFI or have some CFIs come in, maybe through CAE. We work with them pretty closely. Have them come in and give the kids some legal hours in the sim. That's the ultimate goal. And then maybe affiliate ourselves with a flight school so the kids can go and continue down the path. We've had a couple students already. We had a girl go to Purdue. She is already a private pilot, actually a commercial pilot now, and she's working up through her ratings. And we have another girl at Mercer County Community, who flies out of South Jersey, and she has her private and working on her rest of her stuff as well. So it's working. The program is only, still in its new form. So we're working on building it up and trying to, get it bigger and entice more kids. But so far we have got 5 other schools now on board. We have Pequannock that started it. We have Kinnelon that started it. Hazlitt, Roxbury, and one more new one just came a couple weeks ago to come see our program in person. So we're trying to promote it as much as we can, to all the other schools to get kids involved in aviation, and see that it's something that they can attain. They don't have to, have all this money to do so, even though that would be not helpful. So that's kind of the gist of the program and the gist of how I became a part of it. I love teaching it. I teach the 3rd-year program right now, with physics being the main priority of what I do. I teach mostly that, but I do get to teach the one section of aviation. And we have 16 kids in there right now. So what did we do this year? We did an 8-leg cross-country flight on the simulators. The kids started planning it back in February. They had to plan their entire flight out, the cross-country, in a small group, a pilot, co-pilot situation, and then they got to fly it every single day. Obviously on bad weather days, since the simulators track real world weather, we didn't fly on rainy days or IFR conditions. So any day it was kind of a go, no-go situation. They had to make the call if they were going to fly and do their section of their cross country, which was 20 to 25 miles. And they planned it out. Some went from here to, Maine, or here to Carolinas almost, over the course of the eight days. That was a really cool experience for them. They've built their way up to be able to do that at the level. Their first year was kind of like takeoffs, landings, kind of a solo. Their second year was more of like a check ride prep, where they had to do all their maneuvers and slow flight and steep turns and stalls. That was COVID. That was last year. And then this year was their cross country. Next year will be more like IFR, commercial, complex aircraft stuff. That's the goal, at least from my perspective. So yeah, hopefully that was a lot. If you have any questions, you're more than welcome to ask. I love teaching it. I mean, it's awesome. I love flying. I'm supposed to go on Tuesday, so hopefully the rain stays off.
Fantastic. Let me ask you this. It's a regular a college qualified program, right? I mean, you could go and get your degree in physics if you wanted to. I mean,
Yeah, totally. So we're working with Mercer, since they're a local school, working with them to give the kids credit, not just that they took their private written, which gives them 2 years to then get their private. We're working on them to give them actual credit at Mercer for what they take, specifically for the aviation, program. But they can get credit for AP physics at my school, if they want.
This is college credits?
It will be, hopefully it will be. The AP physics is college credits, yes.
College credits. Wonderful. Okay.
Betty has a question.
Hey, Betty.
That's sort of what I was thinking about in terms of Carnegie units, and does it count for their graduation units, which you just said it does, as AP physics? I think you said.
Yeah, so I teach AP physics. That's separate from what I teach in aviation. But yeah, AP physics, they take at the end of AP physics, they take a test in actually June now. And if they pass that with a specific score, like the SATs or something like that, they can get college credit. Yeah.
But I mean, in terms of 4 years of high school, are they getting elective credits? I mean, it's not a club, it's a course.
No, so they get science credits.
Oh,
They can opt out of taking chemistry or environmental science if they would like.
okay, that's fine. Thanks.
Yep.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Thank you.
Nancy, you said you plan to increase the students taking it up to 200, I think, in next year.
Yeah, that would be ultimately goal, because we have four and we have 25 spots per class, 4-year program, 2 schools. So the goal is my boss and I work with the 8th grade sending districts to do presentations and entice the kids into the program. Plus, allow kids that they don't have to start the first year as a freshman. So let's say the program just started. If they're a senior and they have interest, they can still take the first year section of the course if they would like. We just offer it first to the freshmen, and then vice versa to the others that would like to join.
Okay. So you teach all three, let's see, this is the third year. So the fourth year is a different, it's a different curriculum.
Yeah, so the first year is like intro to flight, the history of flying, the four forces of flying. They learn about lift. We do pretty much, they build a wind tunnel over the course of a month. They put an airfoil inside, and then they test the forces and learn how to produce lift, how the camber and everything works, the angle of attack on a wing. That's kind of the first year, a little bit of intro gliders, Bernoulli principle. Second year is like, fully in depth. They learn like weight and balance, density, altitude, airport like incursions, different types of aircraft. It gets a little bit more in depth of prepping them for the private exam. Their third year, what they do with me is weather. That was a big chunk. That was about 4 months. They do weather, airport operations, performance calculations, and then cross-country prep. So technically at the end of their third year, they could take their private exam. The fourth year is more, apparently it hasn't started yet. The fourth year is apparently more of a free course where they learn about IFR and commercial and their next ratings that they can attain. And then from there becomes an independent based, whatever they would like to study, as far as we know. We haven't gotten the curriculum yet from AOPA. They don't give it to us till over the summer because the program just started, so we started it as it was brand new. So the fourth year is next year that they are releasing. So we don't even know what it really fully is yet.
Well, what's the IFR is instrument? Is that instrument?
Yeah, instrument rating. Yeah.
Instrument rating, right? Okay. Well, that's quite a program.
Question. I'm sorry, Joe. I have a question. Did you happen to see the PBS program on electric airplanes? All the research being done on that. It was a couple days ago.
No, I didn't. Was it good? Because I could show it because we have some time now.
It's fascinating. To me, it was that they said it's the proponents say it's the third big change in aviation. The second was jets, and the third will be electric. They say because the commercial jets, they say, contribute a tremendous amount of air pollution.
Yeah. When there's a convention every year that AOPA provides for us, and it's around the United States. So it's been at different hubs. UPS had it the first year, then it was at FedEx. Previous year was at United, and then it was going to be at Embry-Riddle pre-COVID last year. And when we were there for United, they were talking about the airline companies were talking about decreasing their emissions over the course of the next 10 years by 30 to 40% was their initial goal. But yeah, they're all thinking about that idea of electric.
Apparently, Siemens is a big proponent to electric propulsion. They have very efficient electric motors and so forth. Also, another interesting idea is hybrid, where you have an engine plus electric propulsion system.
Mm-hmm. That's good.
Yeah, that'd be great.
I have a question, Howard, if you don't mind.
Go ahead. Sure.
You mentioned a number of flight simulators in your classrooms, and including one that allows for legally counting hours. Can you talk some more about that?
Sure. So there's a couple companies out there. The main one is the Redbird, is the name of the company that produces it. So we have a Redbird. It's called the TD2. It's a triple monitor sim.
Right.
It's the first entry-level simulator that the kids can get actual time on. The FAA sim. It's not a multiple axis sim. I think it was like 13 or 14,000. We've won at each school. My boss or my supervisor, we've applied for a grant through. A couple grants. We did one through the FAA, and then I think one through United for a multiple axis simulator, the full, $250,000 sim by Redbird.
You think big. I salute you for that.
Well, the goal would be, since we work really closely with Mike from the Civil Air Patrol, would be to let them use the time as well and kind of double-edged sword it, where they would be able to help our students, get the hours, the legal hours, come in as like CFIs, because I'm not a CFI yet. And then they could also use the time for currency for their pilots as well.
Well, what mic or which mic would that be?
Castania.
Oh, Castagna.
Yeah, he comes,
Ah.
he comes in twice a year and does talks with our students.
Very good. Maybe if we squeeze him out, he'll share some of that information with the rest of us.
Yeah, no, definitely.
At some point, I'd like to talk to you as well about the Civil Air Patrol
Sure.
and our specific squadron, because you have a lot to contribute. Now that you're a member of the Civil Air Patrol as what we call an AEM, you have one foot in the family already. Knowing Michael Castagna is also not a bad entry at all. So stay tuned for more on that one.
No, definitely. I've been an AMM actually for 2 years now.
Well, yeah.
Yeah, when the initial program started, Mike was a big proponent of it, and
Absolutely.
really helped us kind of skyrocket the program at both schools and get kids involved. You know, doing a bunch of talks and a bunch of stuff. We did a meet with the Eagles, the EAA at Lincoln Park
Right.
years ago. That was really great for the kids. Almost all my students showed up to go fly for free for the day. That was awesome.
Excellent. So Howard, maybe we need to give him $35 credit since he was an AEM already.
That's right. Sure.
Just kidding.
Colonel Joe Begg, you're a United Airlines pilot, is that correct?
Yes, 29 years.
Okay, wow.
Yeah, we're as still the other Joe's thunder. There's a shortage of it's resurfacing because of COVID was kind of masking it for the last 14 months, but the worldwide shortage of pilots, mechanics, air traffic controllers, probably dispatchers, probably meteorologists. It's all getting ready to resurface. We're roughly just at United, we're about 1,000 pilots short for September. So we're hiring like mad right now. We don't need them right now, but as we recover and start pulling airplanes, we call it out of the desert. Most of them are actually at a lot of local airports. We have airplanes that are like mothballed. They cover the wheels, and we pull them out. It's very expensive, but last I heard we were down at like 200 airliners parked, mothballed. So we're bringing those out. But this industry right now is we need all those career fields, especially mechanics, because nowadays a lot of our kids aren't interested in getting their hands dirty and the joy of tearing stuff down and putting it back together. So it's a critical shortage. So and it's getting ready to resurface. So I salute Joe for being there and teaching out there, and thank you. So
yeah, and also the Air Force has a shortage, I think, of technicians and as well.
Yeah, if you, for those of us that read Air Force magazine, probably December before last, the Air Force had admitted, which they don't normally do, that they were 2,000 pilots short of fighter pilots, not transport bombers, tankers, reconnaissance, signals intelligence air, just fighter pilots. And depending on who's running the accounting in Congress, that's probably $20 million a pilot to get somebody trained to a 10-year point. So serious money there. Another thing that we need to advocate to our elected leaders to focus on. So.
Absolutely, that's right. That's why advocacy is so important. Absolutely, they don't know about it.
Question for Joe.
Go more.
Question for Joe.
Yes,
Go ahead, Jim. You talk about 125 students. That's out of a pool of how many? What percent? And what do you think is driving them? Like when I was a kid, we all wanted to be pilots, but then that was when planes were new. What's driving them, and what's not driving them, the other students, into aviation?
Sure. So what we see is initially we get a big push of kids that want to do aerospace engineering. I think that's the main one. Our school we're 1,400 something students, at just my school. And then Knowles is a little bit smaller, 1,300. So 2,700 kids. So that's the initial push, is all those kids that want to be in there. I think once they get into the program, they start to see that it's attainable. A lot of students believe like you have to join the military to become a pilot. That's a main, I don't know where that comes from, but they think that's the only avenue into becoming a commercial. The second one is they also believe they have to go to college. So we get a lot of students that don't want to go to a college. They don't want to go to a 4-year institution, and now they don't have to anymore because they don't require that anymore to become a pilot. So that's another push. We're getting the students that aren't 4-year college driven to take the program. That's what we see, at least.
Another question? Another question?
You're good.
Two parts here. In comparison to male and female students, could you address that issue, if it's an issue or not an issue or whatever? And also, because of the pandemic, from listening to you, I'm imagining a good deal of what your students do can be done virtually, or at least some version of virtual learning. Did the situation in the past almost 18 months now, did that affect what you could or could not accomplish with your program?
Great question. So we're like 60-40 male-female ratio. It depends. We lost a bunch of students because we allow the juniors and seniors to take the lower level, so when they graduate, but it's pretty close. We've actually had more female successes than we've had male success stories at this point, since it's still new, you know. So that's that up to that point. And regarding the, what was your second question? I'm sorry.
Well, how did the virtual learning setup during the pandemic affect you to you giving the program or participating in the program?
So what our school did was we were asynchronous teaching. So the students at home were receiving the same instruction as the kids in person. So it became challenging with the simulator work that I push heavily in the program. AOPA does not push simulator into the program. Okay. So the reason they don't do that is because they don't require you to have simulators in your classroom. That's something we add in. So we do like a weight and balance activity. We do weight and balance PowerPoint. They learn about it. And we go into Sims and they learn about how shifting the weight around in the plane affects the actual flying. Taking off, we have aft or forward, CGs and vice versa. So we kind of use it as a supplement. So how we got around it this year was luckily Zoom. And using another thing, we use Google Remote Desktop. So the kids at home could be watching on Zoom, their friends flying. They could be the co-pilot. And what they do is, since they have what we call Google Remote Desktop, they can be clicking buttons on the screen inside of the simulators for the in-person kids. So they're interacting, being that co-pilot for the pilot in the classroom. They're never getting to be the pilot, but they're still getting the same skills, and learning that they do. So yeah, it was more of a hiccup of like how we're going to handle it. In the springtime, it was kind of, it was way harder. Obviously we were not in person at all. So there was no simulator work like that. It was more just following the AOPA curriculum and not supplementing in. We had a bunch of people come and talk. Mike came and did a talk. We had a pilot from United come and do another talk. We had Dave Sarkisian, who's a long pusher of this program. His daughter came through the program. He's a Delta pilot, go and do some talks. So we kind of supplement it with other things up to that point. But that's kind of how it worked. It was a challenge. We're all ready to be done with it for sure. Hopefully come September.
Joe, I have a question about drones. You mentioned the Drone 107 exam.
Yeah.
And do the drone operators in the military, are they pilots?
That's a good question. I'm not entirely sure if they are. The Part 107, so anybody can fly a drone. The Part 107 is so they could fly a drone and get paid for it. So if they're going to fly a drone for a real estate agency to take some photos, they need to do that. I went to my fiance's master ceremony the other day at Caldwell. They had a guy there flying a drone over the top to get some footage. He had it. Went up and talked to him, and he had his little card. He was a Part 107, certified pilot. So I don't know if they're private pilots or actual pilots of planes, at the same time they are drone as well. I'm honestly not entirely sure.
Is yours the only program in New Jersey? And do most other states have such programs? And third, do you ever see the airlines themselves providing one day some kind of support?
Oh, great. So yeah, there's a bunch. There's 5 schools or 6 schools in New Jersey right now that are still, some of them are in their newborn stage. They're about to start it in September. Some, this is their first year, some are on year 2. It depends where they're at. There's a bunch of schools around the United States. So when I go to those conventions, I mean, we have schools from Oregon and Michigan that actually have their academies where they're like schools and high schools at the same time. So halfway through the day, the kids will stop doing instructional work and they'll go and actually fly with us and fly in a plane. So there's those specific schools out west that are pretty gifted for that regard. The United and Delta and the big guys out there, are they providing anything? Kind of more incentives, financial incentives is what we see. I know they sponsor a bunch of the AOPA stuff financially. They're providing huge sign-on bonuses of upwards of $60,000-$70,000 for people to join. I know we had Piedmont come in and talk, and they have a little, American Airlines, they have like a little program that they're trying to push kids into. United and Delta, I believe, are starting one as well, where it's a program that kids can start right out of high school, and they pretty much like get all their ratings all the way up, and they sign a piece of paper that they stay with United for their first 5 years or something like that. So that's all we see right now. I don't see anything else. We've had a couple people come and talk, from American Airlines or United and stuff, but that's kind of the end of it. I don't see them providing anything else. They're not providing scholarships for the students. They're not, providing free hours or anything like that. They're just providing incentives out of school to join their program.
Very good. I think you are unique. I mean, you're a physics teacher, so you're an excellent teacher to be teaching this program.
Yeah.
Are there other teachers within the school system that are within your school system that are going to be doing the same thing, or?
Yeah. So I'm actually the only male teacher in our aviation program. The other 3 teachers are females. So
Okay.
our freshman year teacher, our sophomore year, and our senior, going to be our senior teacher, will all be female.
Okay, that's good to know. Okay.
Yeah, we're trying to entice more women to join our program. Not just, male dominated. Which the first year it was, and then we got more women and involved through the sending schools.
Are they all physicists, these females?
No. Most of them are general science or biology, environmental science teachers that just had a little bit of an interest. We kind of just put it out there. Who has an interest? Who would like to teach this? The one teacher, her husband's a pilot, so that's why she wanted to do it. The other 2 just thought it'd be something different to teach.
Okay, are there any more questions?
Off the subject, but Joe, does anyone teach ham radio in the high schools? Greg and I are hams, and I remember some high schools used to have ham radio stations, and they may still do.
No, I wish they do. Both my parents are hams. I should just take my license. I could probably pass it pretty easily, just by the knowledge of physics. But no, we don't have one.
Okay, are there any more questions? Well, thank you, Joe. Thanks for explaining the whole concept, and all the best to you. And we will be in contact to present the award to you in person. And Peter's suggestion for a lunch somewhere is excellent. I think we'll arrange for that as well. So thank you all for joining us.